Welcome back for another empowering episode. Have you ever wondered why selling your soul's calling in your business feels so damn hard at times? That's what we're going to be talking about with my dear friend, Jennifer Flynn. Jennifer is intuitive business strategist and the balance maven. The two of us go way back, at least a decade. She has come into my private business groups to teach my entrepreneurs all about sales. And I'm like, who am I going to have in the Amplify event but the one and only Jennifer Flynn? So let me introduce her, and then we're going to dive into this conversation about sales. And she's my go-to person. She's my go-to person on understanding the energetics of sales too. So you're in for a yummy conversation. Jennifer Flynn offers intuitive and strategic guidance to spiritually aligned, service-based business owners who seek to expand or scale a business that stokes their passion, acts as a container for their soul's voice, and operates as a vehicle for both the impact and, of course, the income they want to be able to sustainably create while living their soul's ambition. Isn't that what we all want, my friends? Through intuitive mentorship and inspired strategy, she helps them experience both freedom and fulfillment. Hey, girl. Welcome, Jen. I'm so glad that you're here.
I am so happy to be here. I always love being in your community. You have the very best people.
Well,
It's
it's
always a
because
lot of
all of
fun.
you are in it. You know,
Aw.
when I saw the topic come in, I'm like, that is almost the question that we'll hear, because from clients, from my peers, going, why is it so hard? I just want to live my soul's purpose. So when I saw the topic come through, I'm like, yes, because we hear the question. We both work with spiritual, mission-driven women entrepreneurs. So let's dive right in. Why does it feel so hard for many to sell their soul's passion?
Well, a lot of times when you have a heart of service, you are really all about giving. And we get really triggered by this idea that when we're, providing a service to people, we think that we're selling ourselves. We think that we have to sell us to the people that we're intending to serve. And that kind of triggers this sleaze feel that we're just so afraid of. And we're also really afraid of rejection. And when you're selling yourself and you're selling something that's very personally tied to you and something that is an expression of your purpose and your soul's ambition in the world, helping other people with theirs, that's very personal. And so the vulnerability in that can trigger fear of rejection, fear of being slimy or a sleazy, like the used car sales feeling. And so we kind of tend to not want to self promote. And I know that's something you talk to your audience about a lot, and it can just be very triggery for our own stories and our own past. And what we really need to understand is that we are not selling us. What we're doing is we're selling them on themselves. That is what sales is. It's service. And it is about helping them get to their highest and greatest good, their fullest expression, and whatever it is that you do in the world. It's not you that you're selling, it's them. You have to enroll them in themselves. You're not enrolling them in you.
And I love that I can feel the energetic difference in my body when you say that. And it's the number one issue, I can guess the word is, that I see a lot of people, women, not putting themselves out there for fear of rejection, because they're like, oh my God, if they say no to me. So it's like they're personifying it, right? They're taking it inward, which can cause a lot of wounds. The way you just described it is, stop making it about you, make it about them. And I love my attract, nurture, serve model. It's about that. Serve, don't sell. That's the difference, right? From an energy point of view.
Absolutely. And when we say the word sell, it often has become the other four-letter S word. Like people just immediately kind of choke up and they like start to freeze, and it just starts to feel like a little bit panicky, like I'm putting myself out there. And when we shift our perspective from it being about us and selling what we have to offer and move it to taking a fierce and loving stand for the person who's in front of us, and also understanding that sales is just about moving people, and we do it all day long. You're doing it with your children to eat vegetables, you're doing it with getting them to wear a coat, you're doing it with getting your partner to contribute to household tasks, or like in partnership of whatever, you know, you guys want to achieve in the world together. We're moving people all the time. And when we look at it from a place of, you couldn't be sleazy if you tried because you just don't have that bone in your body, or you wouldn't be here, and you let go of the idea that you even like could be if you tried, and you step into that place of it really being about taking a stand for someone else and helping them get their highest and greatest good, you can engage in that sales experience so much more easily because you really start to embody the truth of it being service, something you do for and with people, not to them.
And that's the part I love about when you came into my Illuminate Sister Mind program last year to teach a 3-part series on sales and the energetics of it and the yeses and nos and how to show up in your message. It was doing something for, not to someone. And there was a lot of ahas about that, because people automatically go, oh, I have to sell. I got to create a sales page. I have them reframe. It's not a sales page. It's an invitation page. That is, doesn't that feel energetically better? And I know you use a lot of these nuances too. Stop calling it sales. I'm going to invite them into the container. If it aligns, they are going to come in. It takes the pressure off. Plus, it feels so good from a heart-centered place, as I know you teach. Now, for those who do really struggle with the sales process, I love that you just shared one strategy is stop making it about you and selling you, and you flipped the script and gave them. What else would you share for someone that is maybe hasn't had sales yet in business because they're just starting, or is established but struggles every time it comes time to make an offer?
Yeah, well, there's kind of two parts to that. One is to really trust yourself and realize that it's not about you having to necessarily, while skills do help, it's not something that's required. It is just about you kind of trusting yourself to lead them through an experience to get to the heart of what they most need. And realizing that if you're perceiving some trust issues, or you're feeling like they're having things come up, a lot of times it's actually they aren't trusting themselves because they have made decisions in the past, they've engaged in things in the past that didn't work out, and maybe they've started something and didn't finish it and had done this repeatedly, or they've got some sort of patterns that have been established, that our job is to help them uncover those things and to understand more about themselves and help them build trust in themselves, because they have to be willing to enroll themselves in what they want before they can engage in it. Just like you have to be enrolled in your own offer and what you do, you have to trust in yourself before you can even offer it to others. And that trust piece leads me to the second piece, which this is the one most people are afraid of and want to shy away from in their sales experience. And that's what, you know, on the inside, we don't say this to our clients, but what we call objections. Like when somebody's going to give pushback or they're going to say no. And so we got the rejection first, but the reality is that objection we think is the rejection. And the objection, I want everyone to really understand, is a gift. It is a present that you are being offered. And if they didn't want what you had, they would not present it to you to help them work through. They just wouldn't. So the fact that somebody even offers up some sort of, I can't because, they're giving you a reason and they want you to help them think it through, process it. And so when we look at it as an objection, we stop treating it like this thing we have to try to avoid, or when it comes up, it's going to derail the whole conversation. And we lean into it and we realize that it's this gift that we can't just open the box and be like, oh, okay, well, that's great. And then think we're going to tackle it. You have to like open the box. You have to lift it out. You have to unwrap it. You have to look at it from all of the angles and receive the gift. It really, truly is a gift because they're trusting you enough with this objection to hope that you're going to help them explore it and work through it. It's also a tremendous opportunity for you to build your relationship. Like this is the very first step in you being able to open the relationship. A lot of people in sales talk about closing deals. I like to look at it like opening relationships. We aren't closing anything. I don't want closing energy around your sales experience. I want opening energy. And so when you're presented with this objection, this thing that it's like, I can't do it because, it's not about you being pushy or salesy. It's about just leaning into it and exploring it with curiosity and understanding and serving them through it, helping them navigate it. Now, the reality is the answer might still be no at the end of it. Your goal in a sales experience is not to get the yes. Your goal is to get them to decision, which means don't leave them in maybe land. Decision might be yes, decision might be no. But when we serving is getting them to decision and not being attached to it having to be the yes. We're attached to what is in their highest and greatest good.
At that point, when you taught my group, that point about do not leave them in maybe land was so powerful because I think a lot of us fear the no, right? And we've all been there. I've been an entrepreneur for 32 years, so I've been there too. I'm no longer afraid of no's because I know my job, as you said, is on that call, is show them what's possible in our work together that meets what they're looking for. And when you shared in the group about not leaving them in maybe land, it was like this power place because it's like it guides the whole conversation. It guides the whole conversation. And you know what's funny is something else you said is when someone brings an objection, that's their journey. It's not an objection of you, as Jennifer was saying. And what I took away from, when you were training in the group is that moment they share, like in the feminine model that I embrace, that moment they shared that, they're handing you trust. And they're really energetically, whether they know it or not, and I'm curious of your thoughts, they're saying, what will you do with this? Right? You could either go into fear and go, oh, no, and go right into they rejected me energy, or as you just beautifully said, lean in, because it's like a gift. They just trusted you with their deepest thoughts. And Jennifer and I believe the same way in that. And doesn't that make it so much energetically more aligned to continue the conversation when you have that beautiful gift from them, like you said, and wrap it? To me, it shifts everything because they just opened up in a beautiful way.
Absolutely. And I think that it's important to also understand that no doesn't mean no, never. It might just mean no, not right now. And an important part of, keeping sales going and keeping relationships open is also follow up and continued relationships. So just because the answer might be no, it's really important to not take no's as this like curtain call finality. Sometimes it is. And if you've done a great job in the experience, you'll feel good about the no at the end because you too will agree that it is not divine timing, it's not the right fit, whatever it might be. But when we can let go of no being forever and just realize it's a not right now, then we can also be less attached to having to get the yes, and we can stay more present in the experience we're creating for people. Because the other part of that, when you're handling this objection and when they're looking at you to see how you're going to respond, part of that is she's going to take a loving stand for me. She's going to hold space for me. She's going to help me navigate this. That's a really important part of them being able to even get to a yes, and knowing if you're the right fit for them is seeing what kind of stand you're willing to take for their growth and transformation.
Yeah, and the other thing too is what you said about it's not no never, because how you treat them in that period of offering the objection to you, if you go into shutdown and go, oh, she said no, and they feel you energetically close, not only did you not help them get to the yes or no, but they're not going to have that trust level with you to, even if they were heading to yes, it's going to shut them down because they felt you shut down. The flip side too is something you had covered, and I had it in my mind a moment ago, is I think all of us that have been in business, especially in the coaching industry, had a call that they said no, but because you handled it from a high vibration, heard them, listened to them, honored them, and okay, their decision was no. I can name at least 24 who circled back because of how I held space of them then, even though it wasn't divine timing for them, who have stepped into my programs because they remembered how they were treated on that call. Have you found that too? They remember.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've also had people taking that one step further. I've had people who it was just clearly not a fit, and it wasn't going to be a fit over time, but they'd had such a great experience in that conversation that they refer other people to me, even though they'd never worked with me, even though we didn't, connect on that same level. That experience left them with such a powerful takeaway that they would refer to me, even having not worked with me. I mean, that's happened to me many times.
And this is what I want to say to everyone. I love that sentence. It's not no, never, because that's like this, and I can feel the energetic container.
It's just no, not right now.
Yeah, and I can remember about 3 or 4 years ago, a client came to a call from a yearly program, loved her immediately. We had a great connection. She's brilliant, but her website and everything was not ready. It had a different energy than I like to promote, right? Because she was just coming out of corporate, so it had a little still corporate. I held space for her. I let her know that at this time where you have all this messaging, it's not in alignment. Do you know, I only open once a year. She busted ass all year long. Not only did she join the program the next year, it's years later now, and she's now at my highest level. And she said it was because this was insight. Just because of how you held space for me to see what was possible. Here she is in a publisher in multiple books, all because of that one discovery call that shared a lot of the principles of what you shared. So what are some of the other things that women entrepreneurs come across energetically in the sales process? You shared some great tips.
Well, I think this is a little bit energetic, but also kind of on the tactical, practical.
Yep.
We get wrapped up in like, we need to feel a certain way in this experience for us to show up powerfully for those that we want to serve. And a lot of times we don't feel that way because we just don't know what to do. We don't have a container or a structure to support the practical parts to let us just use our feminine energy to animate that container. So we do need kind of the more masculine parts of this process, the structure, so that we can be super present in all of our engagement and animate that structure. And when we're trying to hold up both, it takes us out of our feminine energy and keeps us more in the masculine, which sometimes translates to why sales conversations aren't going the way you hope, or you feel kind of caught between process and like being and doing, if you will. And it's really important, in order to be during these conversations, we do need the doing parts, and we do need some of the tactical measures. And a lot of times people are running into struggle because they don't have the skills, or they don't feel like they have the educational components or the pillars or the things to kind of fall back on to lead them. And having process, having systems, these things actually allow you to take the heavy lifting off of you so that you can really truly serve and be present with your people. So having a good process that from the very moment that they find out about you, getting them to the point where they even can have a conversation with you, like pre the call with you, how they're prepped for that call, how they're engaged with or nurtured, the call itself, and being able to make sure you hit the points during that conversation that are going to be most conducive to leading them through their challenge and finding out what they need and determining if you're a good fit. And then follow up. You know, if it's not a no, not right now, the fortune is in the follow up, not just fortune like monetarily, but just in good feelings, and the energetics of it is in how they're then nurtured after they've had this conversation with you, if it wasn't a yes. But even if it is a yes, part of that is having a good onboarding experience and making sure that they don't get buyer's remorse. Understanding the buyer's psychology throughout that whole experience gives you confidence to really just trust that you're having the right conversation with them throughout.
And I love that, because, you know, I love anything about the nurturing process, but there's something you said too. A lot of times, I've heard this for over a decade from different conversations in my masterminds or peers or even some clients. They get the no, right? And they energetically shut down. They don't send an email because in their mind, the sale is gone, right? Like those that are still stuck in that energy. And I'm like, all it takes is you to send a beautiful email with it. I like to send it within 30 minutes. I said, thank you, Jennifer, for our time together. I know we answered all your questions, but I am here if any other questions come up. I know that let's stay connected. Like, it's a love note. It's a love note that they thought. And then, of course, they added to a certain sequence later on. But I want them to hear from me that I love you. I'm here for you, even though right now we're not moving forward together. But a lot of people stop that. They get the no and they just pull back their
They're
energy.
afraid they're going to be salesy or pushy if they follow up. Like if they say anything after the no, they think that they're they're being pushy about it. But it's not. It's a mistake. It's an opportunity to anchor in all those good feelings you created, to anchor in the transformation that occurred during that conversation, to anchor in the clarity that was created for their journey forward, whether it's with you or someone else. I always tell people, your job is to leave them better than you found them. And I often will say to prospective clients, you know, whether it's me or someone else, it's important that they know their next steps.
Yeah, it's like that call gives them the next step. Like you said, whether it's you or you say, hey, I think you should work with a web designer first, if that's their next step. Here's some recommendations. The other thing too, and it was never the purpose. I love nurturing, so that's my brand. But I can think of a couple times in the last 15 years that I sent it, the email, the love note after a no. And in multiple cases, like 72 hours later, Linda, I've been really thinking about it. And I've reconsidered. I would love to step into whatever it was. Now, you got to remember, 3 days before we had a beautiful call and it was a no. Now, I can't say for sure, but I believe that love note that they received from me showing love and support kept a container open and that they could step into. Now, imagine if I didn't send it and they felt like, oh, all she wanted was a yes. I want you guys to feel that in your body. How would it feel to you? And
It's a door closing.
it does feel like a door closing. And in the feminine model that I know you follow too, is no, I'm here to nurture and love you, whether you work with me or not. It may look differently than what I do with my clients, but I want the highest and best, as you just said, for everyone. So I'm not saying to write the email, let me be clear, to those who said no, to try to convince them. It's just a love note. And if they energetically change their mind and come in, that's a beautiful thing, but it's never written with that intention, because that's a different energy. Do you
I
feel
kind
this?
of look at it like it's kind of like the here's what we talked about email.
Yes.
You know, it's a recap, which is very, it's like putting a hug around them or bookending your conversation. and it's clarifying for what you discussed, where you guys agreed, and what the next step is. And the next step is usually something like, I usually try to, at the end of the conversation, no matter the outcome, I ask their permission. Is it okay if I periodically check in on you? If it's a no, or a no, not right now. If we know it's a no, not right now, then we'll agree upon some sort of follow-up sequence where it's like, hey, I'm going to check on you in a month or in 3 weeks or in the next quarter. And if it's a no, like more defined, I'm still going to always ask that question of, would it be okay if I just periodically check in on you and hear what's new and good in your world,
Yeah,
and
that
keep that
question,
relationship open?
and I love how you asked that question. That was a love-based question, right? Not, hey, let's see if we can work together in the future. It was, hey, I want to check on you. And the other thing I love about including the recap of the conversation, that recap's going to include some of the things they shared. So when they
Their
receive it,
goals.
yeah, and they're also going to hear, she heard me. I
Mhm.
was seen. I was heard. And that's the love, right? That is the feminine model. And I also love that you touch base on this strategies and processes that help them feel nurtured throughout. Because I live in the feminine, teach in the feminine, but if it wasn't for my systems and processes, I couldn't have all these brands, and everyone, whatever project, always compliments us on, wow, I feel nurtured throughout, whether it's the giveaway with 88 partners. They're like, I know my next step at all times, because that's a nurture. You need that in your sales process too. So I'm glad that you said that, because we have to have both.
We really do. And sometimes people get a little squirrely about that, where they feel like it's insincere or disingenuine to have a process or to have a script. And those things are not, it's the energy you put behind them that is the most important. But if you want to be consistent, which is really important in your sales experience, we have to be consistent. You have to have systems to help you be consistent, because willpower alone is not enough. And there's nothing disingenuous or insincere about a system or a process. It's there for you to lean on, to help support you. And it's important that that process is inherently aligned with how you want to show up. But you do benefit from even an email template. For that, here's what we talked about: email is very supportive, and you plug in the things that were pertinent to that person. It's very personal when you craft it. But having templates, having strategies and processes and systems allow you to be more feminine. They allow you to be more authentic and to be more present with your people.
Yeah, and I think it's a container. A template to me is a container. Just because I'm using a template to keep me on task and to save me time so that I can serve more, when I'm entering her information into the template, I'm in my energy. My energy is being embedded. My intention is being embedded. And that's what they feel. The template, like you said, is just to support us. So one, I think, to stay out of overwhelm, but also to make their experience powerful. So
And consistent.
yeah, that's the biggest thing, I think. It's really helped transform my business over the last 15 years, because I used to be someone like planning, or plan was a 4-letter word way back when. And I was so far, I was way in the masculine 30 years ago with my other business. I burnt myself out, as I'm sure many of you can relate. Then I got into the feminine and went way too far this way, like it will come, it will come. And then I finally found balance, and this is what you just really shared in different terms. We need the masculine and the feminine. Without the foundation, systems, processes to build our company on, it will just fall. It will just fall. Or we will burn out and can't serve.
Or you get splattered because there's nothing to hold it in. You just end up kind of like, it's like pouring water out on the concrete, and it just kind of flows everywhere, and it gets thin and dispersed. And sometimes you need a container to let you stay at whatever concentration you want to be at, so you don't get too diluted across too far. But really, it's just so that there's something there for you to let your feminine energy animate. That's the thing we all want to be in. That's the part of our work that we love. And doing your genius work is very much our feminine energy in flow. But if you
Yeah.
don't have a container around it, you don't get to do your genius work. And a sales process that's aligned with your heart is a container that lets you do your genius work.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to start closing out our conversation, because I believe this, as I know from our personal conversations. We had that seed put in our heart to start our business. That came from the feminine, that came from our intuition, that came from your source. You birthing it out to the world needs structures and strategies, but that genius is yours. And there are people who will never be served if you don't step out and make offers. You're leaving them without your genius. And I had to do so much healing around sales, money, abundance, receiving. So listen, if you're struggling with sales, I get it. I have been there. Jennifer's been there. That's why she does the work she does in the world, so that we can take the stigma out of sales, but help you understand it in a deeper level. And I got to say something on a side note. If you ever need someone to speak in your business community, Jennifer is.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to put that out there. She really served my community of entrepreneurs. And these are important conversations. She has so much she could talk about in your community. So I just wanted to say that, because everyone loved having you there last year. You're welcome.
And I love doing it. It's so much fun for me.
Yeah, and you have so much experience, because you run some high level sales teams for some of the biggest names in personal spiritual development over the time that I've known you. So it isn't just that sales is your expertise. You also see it from the big, right? From all of that. So tap into her wisdom, my friends, and you can do that by starting with the gift below. You're going to receive the Intuitive Business Atlas. Now, Jennifer, let them know what they can learn or what they're going to receive.
Absolutely. So what I've learned in all my years of business and serving service-based entrepreneurs is there are 9 elements that, if you have those elements present and functioning optimally in your business, they lead to a healthy business and a very healthy and happy entrepreneur. Because as we all know, when you are answering your calling and living your purpose, that's a very personal endeavor, and your business becomes a reflection of you. You are a reflection of your business. And so it's important to take that wholeness into account. So the Intuitive Business Atlas is it's essentially 9 elements, and I go into each one of those elements, let you know what they are, and give you an opportunity to kind of diagnose where are you with those 9 elements, and being able to just kind of rate 1 to 10, where am I with this particular element? And what it does is it acts as a diagnostic tool to let you determine where in your business do I need to start? What needs my attention first? And you realize it's not like a 9 element thing where it's like 1 to 9, but when we put it into a circle, you can meet somebody anywhere they are in those elements and lead them all the way around, and they're all connected. One of those elements is money conversations, which is our sales process and experience, because it is a big gateway to, again, you being able to do your genius work. But those other 8 elements function in harmony with it. And it really just helps you understand, if you really want to be fully expressed personally and professionally, it gives you kind of a template for where to look and where to start and what to give your attention to and where to turn the screw.
That's powerful, because if we don't have that, we don't know where our issue is. So we're always maybe fixing the wrong thing and staying blind to what the real issue is. So ladies, I invite you, grab the Intuitive Business Atlas below, dive in, do the work. Don't just download it. We all love to do that. I want you to do the work, because I've worked with Jennifer before, and it's going to give you insights into what to tweak, as Jennifer just said, and open your eyes to maybe some things you didn't know about that could be affecting you or your business. So I love tools and strategies like that. So thank you for that gift, my friend, and for this conversation.
Oh, it's always my pleasure. And it's always a gift just to be in your company with your group. And like I said, it's just always great energy, and I love being in it.
Well, thank you, my friend. We'll see you in the next episode, my friends.